It's been read. And we're good to go.
Perfect.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Firefly, hosting the APC Thursday night here at Game Theory. Tonight on commentary will be Gil and
Rocky, aka Heathen.
So
Ouija.
looks like we're starting in the middle of a hand. Trying to figure out what has happened
We got
before.
sixes, ace, 10.
So,
Looks like somebody's all in for 15.
so it looks like Celeste. I know Celeste is her first time here at Firefly. Nice to see her making final table on her
It is.
first.
It's outstanding.
I have never actually met her before, but from some interactions with other players, I don't think she's a new APC.
She's been around a minute.
Yep. Looks like Gene let his pocket sixes go. Looking for a more.
I think the
spot.
final table, ace 10 suited, is. I mean, I understand the push.
So it's 2 wings when I've got the best hand, right?
This is a
That's
This is a situation where she might feel stuck here, even though I'm not happy necessarily calling off with King Jack. Eric's definitely probably going to be ahead of that from a range perspective, but kind of once you live in there, I think she felt stuck. But 55, 60, 40, let's say 55, 45, but 60, 40.
All right, here we go.
This is one as Eric. It's almost there's no comfortable flops,
No.
even with the ace 10 hits.
all right. Ace 10's holding.
Old Celeste takes the lead with the jack.
Oh, the jack popped in.
Yep.
Ace and jacks.
That takes away some of Eric's outs. And
Ace and jacks. Drag.
yeah. That's one of those where you're like,
I mean,
you say from a poker perspective, you're like, you stuck your chips in good,
Right.
and the cards ran out how they ran out.
I mean, both players did what they're supposed to do. I think with the hand. Tough call for Celeste, but it paid off.
So let's see, what do we got for some stacks? Actually, from the difference here, pretty even.
Eric,
We have 2 lows.
I'm going to try not to butcher his name. Looks like Ekram. That's what I will go with.
Yeah, Ekram sounds good.
Got the chip lead, but it's pretty evenly distributed for an APC final table.
Gene and Stacy are kind of low, but I mean, they're within striking distance.
Pretty easy folds. Trying to see who Ekram is. That's a name I haven't seen before. That must be the new guy here in a red shirt. That's going to be my guess.
Yep. 7 deuce. Gonna let that go.
So David here, one off the button. I know it's tricky, but I'd almost want to see a raise here.
got an ace.
Even from the perspective of he's got 10 bigs, you pick up, if you got 36K and you pick up an extra 6K, adding 1/6 to your stack is huge final table, and it definitely looks like no one would have defended here. Sometimes you just got to look for those spots to pick up easy chips.
Now, I mean, he needs to lead,
Yeah.
right? Top pair.
Now this hand plays itself. The thing I look at it from a strategy standpoint is, yes, you are 100% going to win this hand, but essentially you're going to win the same amount of chips with this hand, but if you'd have kind of gone the aggressive route, it'd be a path of less resistance. Like in that
Because
one,
you don't want him to catch up.
well, 'cause in essence, in that one, you yourself, in some perspective, had to hit to win. You won the same amount of chips with more risk. APC normally plays pretty tight, and then I don't know how much play together these players have, but Marco's going to play a good solid game. He's not going to call off light here at the final table, and that's just speaking from experience from playing with him. Same thing there, Ted. Your 2 blinds were Ted and Marco. Little on the only ones players on the tight side. They're on the solid side,
Right.
and you could have easily picked up that without any resistance.
Sure.
Now I'll say, looking at David's finger dance here, I think this was.
Yeah, he was thinking about it because they were suited.
It was a tempting hand.
Yeah,
but
they were suited. He was like,
Now this
Ted
is
likes his king, but
this is a tricky one. But I played up in Cherokee with Ted. Kind of new school here, where he's opening almost all of his hands on the button with a small raise. And I think part of what Ted's hoping here is, since he is so short, this is just unlucky. But I think what I was going to say was Ted is opening a lot of his range, thinking these two players are just going to fold almost all their hands,
right.
And it looks really strong for basically raising, call it half your stack. No, I think Ted knows he's crushed here.
Right, I was just saying. And then Celeste pushes over ace jack suited. So he knows, all right, I may have stepped in this a bit.
This is a tricky one. I think, you have to decide here. Ted folds. I was going to say,
Discipline fold.
You just have to decide if this was the point where you're trying to get lucky.
Is this the hill I'm standing on? King 2's not the hill.
Or you're going to keep chipping along, trying to get you a couple extra points.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, if people don't know, this is the Atlanta Poker Club Thursday night. We are a points-based league here in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's one of those where you kind of pick your spots there for picking up, hopefully, a couple more points down the road,
right.
For bigger goals as far as the season goes. That's one of those, when as strange as it may seem, that if this was, for money poker, you probably just have to stick your chips in there from a math perspective. But
right.
a lot of what we do here with this league is you have to play a short game and a long game.
I always say tournament poker is a marathon on a sprint. Right. When you play cash game, each hand's a sprint.
Yeah.
Each hand's by itself. You play differently. With a freeze out game like this, you've got to pick your spots. It's a marathon.
Well, this is an interesting spot. I think Monet would have laid this down if Shrey had gone ahead and jammed his
fives.
fives.
I was just say, with Shrey with the fives, I think at the final table, you've got to raise that.
Because you're looking at 5 big blinds.
Right, and that's just one.
Now, hindsight being 2020 in this game,
he may lose
it made something where you're only going to lose 4K because you've had two people that have you essentially covered, move all in behind you. I think Marco here, this is just a little show, just a little showboating, not showboating, but kind of posturing, Hollywooding.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's dumping this hand.
Good job.
Easy fold for Celeste.
Gene probably will get away. He's thinking about it though. I mean,
is Gene
I
in the
know
blinds
he
here?
likes King 10, but yeah.
I expect Shrey to dump the hand here. Like I said, this is a hindsight that it's one of those where
like, I mean, come on.
You should be going broke.
Yeah,
but
good
now
job.
You're gonna ladder up. Rachel with some chip tricks or whatever she was trying to do there with her chain.
All right, we're all in.
Now we all know poker here. If I have jacks, I don't feel good on anything that doesn't that doesn't involve a jack high flop.
Exactly.
I'm like, I want Monet drawing as dead as possible.
Please.
The crazy thing here is, Ted played aggressively with his king deuce hand before, lost 12K, and this may push him. If you win this hand, you're close to the chip lead.
Yep.
As we say, jack high flop. That's what we look for. And he's open-ended though, so it's always good and always bad at the same
Always
time.
bad, right?
And
he takes it.
Rachel comes through for old Ted.
Nice job, Ted.
But
Jack's pay. Bishop's payoff.
let me rephrase my wants. I want a jack high flop that's also like jack 3-4.
Right. Right. I need you to blank.
That's always the air quote fun part about poker is that fun part about poker is we get what we want, and at the same time we don't get what we want. And you're like, how in the world do I flop top set there and I still have to be scared?
Such a crazy game I love to hate.
But I'll give a shout out to Rachel. It's nice to see her back in the box this week.
Yeah.
We've been doing some traveling and a bunch of other family stuff.
Some nice trips.
Bunch of family stuff. We took a little trip down to Charleston. I highly recommend the town.
It's a gorgeous town.
Ace-6 suited. I don't know if this is where Ted starts to get aggressive on the table. Like I said,
I was gonna say, I think it's worth a little bit.
yeah. But definitely knowing Ted, he would have come in for a raise there. Like I said, it's trying to figure out how frisky you do want to be. Like we were just commenting, looks like Ted's third in chips. Could have maybe put a raise in, but some of that you start to get a feel for how desperate some of the players are here. Like Monet, the fact that we're at 2 and 4. I'm probably not raising his big blind really light, even if positionally it would be prudent, because I know he's probably defending almost any 2 cards here.
Sure.
So, trying to look at that, I don't expect either. I'd go with the whole table, but from a positional standpoint, I don't expect Celeste or Jean to open really light here.
I mean, it's really 2 tables. You have the upper stacks and the lows. There's 3 low stacks. And they're going to play their hands differently.
I think we
and
figured
that's where
out
the big stacks probably need to bully a little bit.
like
time to be aggressive.
now.
The 8s is my favorite hand.
Yeah. Now I'll say here, I'd like to see, because I know that Mona's probably defending any 2 cards. If I'm Ekram,
I don't know why I can just smooth all that.
I go ahead and raise just because the
Right.
goal is to get everyone out.
I did
and,
3-4 times big.
and take my 50-50 against almost any 2 cards
Exactly.
that Mona's going to play.
Exactly.
This might have been a handy let go, but like I said, being that short, 2 bigs, he's probably defending with any 2.
Yeah.
So I'd go ahead and just isolate.
Yep.
This might be the end of Monet because I expect him to go check and. Well, Shrey's got a. Yeah, the only thing that may save Monet here is Shrey has a flush draw. So if he'd have checked, I'd have expected Monet still putting his money in there. Now the crazy thing here is, I think Ekram's actually going to let the best hand go here. He's interesting.
Does he?
No, he
No,
does
he
not.
doesn't.
He may feel it's just too much money. I like him sticking to it. He's maybe because some of the hesitation, he doesn't
Right.
buy that either player has a 10. There's,
Now he's 2 pairs.
well, now, but Monet has his trips.
Ekram's going to, yeah.
And so Monet's going to triple up here.
Let's see.
I said,
See if Ekram gets away from this.
Monet with the 3
Monet
deuce,
takes it.
triple up.
Takes the diaper to the river.
I don't know.
Dirty diaper.
I don't know if anything changed. There's Monet. If everyone doesn't know, Monet, kind of, when I say kind of, he's the one who put the original concept together for RF poker and game theory. See him pumping there. He knows which camera is highlighted based on the action.
He's playing to the audience.
One of the cool things here with the technology is that the cameras actually auto switch based on the action on the table. So Monet kind of gave us a little cheesy smile and a fist bump up to we're gonna call it camera pink 3.
He's playing to the audience.
But that's one of those. I think Monet still wins that hand, but I would have liked to see Ekram open that
Right.
hand. And
That's the thing. Would Monet have gotten away from it, that could raise, and that's the whole point.
yeah, and that's a tricky one. That's trying to look at it objectively. I don't know if he folds already having 50% of his stack in there, but we all
But he
look.
was on dirty diaper.
But we all say that, and then we look down at 3
Right.
deuce, and I would say sometimes the biggest mistake you can make is looking at the cards.
Right, exactly. Especially when you're that low.
But
All right.
I think so.
Celeste is contemplating. Yeah, she got up.
Or I guess cameras were switching a little quick because I guess Marco had either not read his hand or something. Easy up.
Uh-oh. Shrey wakes up with a monster.
Aces. This is where
Bullets.
one thing I'm not super good at is tells, but I think looking at it from the camera here,
Yeah.
he is really trying to feign disappointment.
Yes. Oh, darn.
He's like almost the
Shows his bullets. Drag.
the fact that the excitement wasn't written on his face, but the excitement was written all over his face.
Yeah.
Nice pickup though. I'm not out
I'm
of the
sure they
woods.
wish somebody had something to get paid off.
Yeah. This is interesting because I'm trying to look at how our stacks are positioned. I think Ekram, even besides, well, Celeste is the chip leader, but I think one advantage Ekram can have here is being a bigger stack with some medium-ish stacks behind him. If he has the opportunity, I'd like to see him put pressure on these guys.
Absolutely.
Even with Celeste, kind of using the
It
fact,
is kind of weighted.
yeah, the fact that he has a lot of the medium stacks to his left. That if people are trying to ladder up, that he can kind of get through things with little to no resistance.
Yep.
But
It's way. All right, Celeste drops it.
so
Ace 10 suited.
Gene put all his money in.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't blame
approve.
him.
I approve.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And Rachel just give Gene the Mean Gene moniker.
Yep.
But kind of something I look at here now is, there's obviously always risk, but you try to look for what percentage, if you do the win hand uncontested, how many chips compared to your stack you're picking up. And here Gene has 14 and he can pick up 6K in chips.
Right.
You're looking at a 50% increase
Exactly.
in your chip stack.
Right.
That's huge.
Right.
That it's kind of like don't look at it from a scared perspective that a lot of people look at that and say, oh, ace 10's kind of borderline. Ace 10 would Gene have 3.5 big blinds.
Yeah.
Huge. Get your money in. If you uncontested, like I said, you pick up 50% more chips, and
At a minimum.
yeah,
If you get a caller, you're actually sitting pretty good.
and if you get called, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but you're sitting pretty good.
All right, so blinds up. Trying to do some quick math here with these new RF insights.
All right, Marco, nice hand, ace queen suited.
But looks like Marco got himself a new avatar.
Ha! Little way, Joey.
It was one of those, Marco and I had a good hand, ace queen, ace king earlier. Unfortunately, he was on the ace king side of things. That's why I'm here
Marco's
commentating.
pushing. I understand it. I know if I'd pushed 5 times big, maybe something, try to get something back, but I understand it.
But it's one of those where
You gotta make people think.
one thing here where I think sometimes you can play APC a little bit different is players can be on the tighter side, especially final table. Now I think ace queen suited, I'm definitely always getting it in. If I raise and someone re-raises, it just is what it is. But in that same perspective, that you could have raised to what are we at? 4 and 8. I think we're at 4 and 8. You could have raised to 16, essentially half your stack.
16, 20, something like that.
You're putting the same message out there that you're
Exactly.
that you're not
Giving
folding.
something back where you're not. You haven't. Once there are wins, that's it.
No, I would say a lot of that I probably only try like in an APC setting. I always hate saying this because APC is as close to real poker as I think any league gets.
Any ball player.
So I hate to say playing real poker, but real poker, you probably just get in there and take the blinds. APC, I do like, because players are on the tighter side. It's funny because during the normal game, they're probably not as tight as you would expect some players to be.
Yeah.
But once you hit final table, players play pretty tight to the vest.
Yeah.
So you could put less chips to risk.
Dave's got a nice.
David's got 10. Let's see if he does this normal hand thing. But he's ready.
Yeah.
Once again, I hate
wow.
I hate to say it in
Oh
terms.
my God.
I hate to say it in terms like this, but David might save money here by doing the wrong thing.
Right. Exactly right.
Tens were a definite open here, one off the button, but now it'll be interesting to see how he plays
Doesn't
this.
call it, that's right.
Ted's
Well,
got
can you get away from the 10?
I don't know, but like I said, sometimes it's the same thing happens that should have, quote unquote, should have happened, but it goes in the wrong order.
Right.
trying to be predictive. I think Ted does lay this down. I think he if
feel
it,
like he
if
has to
well,
feel like
if
at
the
least somebody's got to care.
well for me
You
if
don't
the
see this kind of action.
if he remembers anything about the pocket eight's hand, he knows Ekram is not opening super light. I don't know how much earlier in the night they played together, but obviously we've already seen in this final table a hand that was probably a slam dunk open. Ekram limped in and kind of passively played a hand down. Good fold by Ted. I expect Marco
Can Marco get away?
let this one
Marco
go.
likes suited sometimes.
So the raise here, I actually like the size of this raise, 4 and 8. Looking at about a 3x raise.
Yep, exactly.
Takes into account the one limper. I don't know if David's supposed to get away from this hand.
Can he?
The one thing that's always helped me in my tournament poker game is sometimes the infamous quote is sometimes it's just your time to die.
Yeah.
And here I think you just stick your chips in.
Yep.
And it is your time to die.
Right.
Or Rachel will give you a set and you can thank her later.
Players all in?
I think this
All
is.
right, Dave's pushed.
I think this is.
I mean, he's
my
it's
guess.
not a bad hill to die on.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, I think this more of the fact that there hasn't been a snap call here. It's got to be more of just a question of wanting to know how many chips it is.
Exactly. This is not
Never ever quote me on this. Ever fold queens in this spot.
No.
From a, just getting feel for the players. David never has queens beat here, never. David, if you put that in your repertoire and you can somehow have queens beat here, we'll sit down and talk strategy. But I won't even take David's name out of this. I don't think anybody here who has limped in has queens beat. I wish you guys sometimes could see us here. That some of the distractions around us. That my face was super surprised. That's about as safe as it gets. I'm trying to see anything.
Nope, that's it.
10 and a 10 only. Yep.
Queens.
Nice hand, Ekram. Nice pickup for. Well, I think Celeste might have been a chip leader by one chip, but definitely puts Ekram up in the chip lead. Once again, big shout out to new players coming out tonight. Celeste, Ekram. Ekram, I don't even think I've seen anywhere. Big shout out to new players. I kind of wish one of the new guys that came to play that made final table tonight. We had a guy come in from out of town. He was actually wearing a Chattanooga Poker Club hat. We had some pretty good talks about the difference between like our leagues and where he plays, and
he's actually a good player. I thought he represented himself very well at the table.
Very, very good player. That super personable.
Yeah. Great. Love to see him back.
Now the one thing that's kind of a testament to not only APC but what RF Poker and Game Theory have going on is, when he first walked in, he saw the outside table, which is our normal Atlanta Poker Club blue table, and he was like, "Oh, this is pretty close to what we normally get back home." And then he walked into the Game Theory room and just blown away that this is free poker. All right, looks like we got Eric jumping in here for Rachel.
And a misdeal. So we need a redeal on this one.
We'll see if Eric takes out of any of his early
stuff.
Well, his early exit frustrations out on the rest of the players still at the table.
As Eric says, he likes to deal with pain.
Yeah, but nah, I kid. I know Eric has a short memory. We all have to have a short memory.
Right.
Now, that is not to say that I have not seen Eric put a hurting on people card-wise that you're like, that is not fair to people's souls.
No, it's
be like, you want to
evil.
scream out, like, they have children.
He's got a little tape for this one.
Super easy fold for these guys.
Yeah,
King Rags.
King Rags are out. Wow, that's funny. We see 3 kings there right away.
No, I know. We'll say I know here.
Oh, Ted's gonna push.
If Ted was opening his
got an ace.
King Deuce earlier to keep his range intact, he's definitely pushing his Ace 9. Marco, easy decision, and I don't think Celeste is folding this one. Good call
thinking.
here.
Yeah, she's
This
gonna
is-
call.
And this is just one of those situational things where
Right.
it sucks. You're like, how do you have an ace? You wanted to have pocket nines.
Right.
You're like dominated, but sometimes poker is just about doing the right thing, and
At the right
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But Celeste is looking excited. Sorry for the silence. Once again, that's stuff where like I wish sometimes we had an over-the-shoulder camera here where everyone could see what we see.
All right. Eric's getting his table in order. And we're about to go to a flop.
But here, it's even crazy. Even if I hit the 9,
Oh.
9 in the window.
9 in the window.
I was gonna say, still don't feel good. That's a good safe card.
Done.
And
9s and an ace kick drags.
and I will say Ted's trying to look casual. Ted knows he
he's
got
not-
lucky.
he's not happy about it.
But that is back to one of those things where sometimes with poker, we just do the right thing. Both players did exactly what they were supposed to do.
And the cards fall where they may.
Excuse me. Need a cough button. Yeah. Trying to see here. What does Gene have? 4-8. Gene's got 20. I assume that 20 includes the 8 he just put out there. Definitely gonna have to be looking to
Still have 3 low stacks before.
to pick up a hand. You can't go with
But
the
really, Ted and Eckram are dominating right now.
you can't go with
But
the thought
nobody's
here.
out of-
You can't go with the thought here that if you make it through the blinds, you can pick up a couple more points if somebody has some bad luck.
Let the big guys take each other out.
But I always know what happens here is sometimes I might be on the tighter side in Gene's spot, and you fold, hoping the small stacks just like behind you get it in there, and then you watch people triple up,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, well, there goes that plan.
Yeah.
9-8 offsuit under the gun, good fold.
Yeah, nice. 5-4 suited.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's still double gun. You gotta get up.
Here, chip leader, pressure.
Absolutely. Oh,
Um,
he folded. I like Jack 10.
That
What's Ted
now,
gonna do with this?
this is kind of back to what we were talking about earlier, where I think if Gene had something like 40K, Ted would probably open this hand.
Yeah.
But the fact that Gene's sitting on 20K total, I think that was right, and 8 RDN. Forget everything I just said, and Ted is going to go on the aggressive side. Final table, never go wrong with aggressive.
I can't blame him. Typically, final table aggressor wins.
Some of that was just kind of talking through
Must get out.
the way I think of things.
Gene's gonna
When
get out.
Gene's here, he's like aces, 6-5. Good fold by Gene.
Yeah.
He knows that it's really just a gambly spot. He does
Sure.
have a few more hands if he makes it through the blinds.
I mean, you have to pick your spots. And your short stacks.
But, yeah.
6-5's not a hill to die on in the final table.
But, so one thing, kind of noting from earlier chip stacks, and you see how fast things change at a final table here. Celeste was our chip leader not more than like 3 hands ago.
3-4.
3-4 hands ago. Gets your chips in ahead. Unfortunate flop, and now
The
she's
rich keep getting richer.
sometimes it is interesting just for eights
Once
again.
My favorite hand. I think you have to come over the top a little bit with that. He just calls it. I don't know. See, once again, I mean, obviously, even if he bets 3 times, Ace King's not going away.
Yeah.
Ted's not going to go away. But limping, you're letting everybody in.
This is an interesting one. I will say, if you do come in with a strategy, Eckram has been consistent with his strategy
Yeah.
with eights, our small sample size. limped in both times with pocket eights. Obviously, here going on the side of set mining. I probably, if I was going to play my eights passively, being that you both are the chip leaders, I might have folded that hand.
I think at this point he has to be aggressive.
That
He
appears
sees it low.
to be a snap call. So it's funny here. I would say some things not work. They're working out, but not necessarily from the strategy of how I would have played it.
Right.
That is the beauty of this game. And pocket eights for the win. I do like Ted's shove there. I don't think he, with Ekram's passive play, I don't think he expected him to show up with a pocket pair. That is, I guess, one route.
And that's an interesting.
One route
That's
will
an
give
interesting what if, right? If Ekram had been aggressive on the eights initially, would Ted have come on the flop?
I mean,
Because that was a signal pairs, right?
Yeah.
You're aggressive early. You're signaling I've got a pair or something.
Well, it would have been even interesting that if, from the very beginning, if Ekram had opened like 3x, I don't think Ted's laying the hand down, but but then
it makes him think differently because he called the push.
Right, because then Ted's going to push. Then does Ekram decide to call his chips off?
Right.
So that's one place where being passive in this instance might have helped.
Maybe.
Now this is where, look at these three short stacks over here. I know Gene's definitely saying, well, more points in my pocket.
Yeah.
The two chip leaders went at each other.
I made 30 more points just then.
Both the two chip leaders sitting on about 100K apiece.
Yeah.
And we got stacks over here where
all the others die.
where people have, well, even Gene has one big line where you got people with one big, 1.2 bigs,
right.
2 bigs, 2.3 bigs.
It definitely is a table of haves and have-nots.
And it's just crazy where you had the two chip leaders who, you can make an argument there that both should have been kind of passing on things. Gene calls for his last 8K. I love getting in here with your ace.
Ace 7.
I think sometimes
Trey's got a call.
I think sometimes a mistake people can make here is, when you're super short stacked, any ace is always 30%. Unless somebody has aces, even if you're dominated, you're putting in, you can get your money in there and you're only putting a third of the money in, and you're 30%. Run with your ace.
Exactly.
Gene even has Monet dominated here.
Monet's pretty much out. It's between Trey and Gene, I think.
You're like, all right.
But I don't mind Trey's push because
it's crazy.
Any pair on a final.
It's crazy it may seem. I'm looking for a 7 here. Diamonds, that not helping anybody.
Diamonds.
4, still looking for a 7 or an ace. Ace on the river.
Oh, Gene pops it.
There we go. Eric
Makes a little.
Eric taketh away.
Wildish doing that wildish stuff. all the pain and suffering that can happen. Good hit on the river there for Gene. Very good.
But that's, like I said, that's back to where, if you have an ace in your hand, now don't take this as advice for all the time, but final table short stack. Ace in your hand, short stack, get your money in.
Get it in.
Especially against basically 2 blind players.
Sure.
Nice pickup for Gene. See what this does to his stack. If we look at it, that is a triple up. Should be looking at about 24K. Look at that. My days of elementary math have come through.
And really, it's Ekram and everybody else. Everybody else is within striking distance of each other.
Now Monet has 1.6 million.
I don't know how. But Monet wrote this software. It's a little suspicious, I have to say.
I will say it. I think it'd be funny that I do know for a fact that they have 1 million chips. I'd love to have someone just palm one at the final table and hover over for a bet.
Just about to go.
keep a 1K chip in there just so it reads 2 chips. Because the way the software works, if we have a 1 chip bet, it will ask if it's a call or a raise.
Yeah.
Just to kind of take the suspense of having the dealer to push it. Love to just have 1 chip, the 1 million chips palmed in there. Good shove by Marco. What are we looking at? Ace 8, but we got 4 bigs. Kind of the same thing when we were talking with Gene.
You just got Akram's sitting here comfortably in the lead, and he's got an ace. I feel like you have to call this.
Oh, the infamous. Do you want me to chip you up? I, for one, and I'll put this out in the world, I never, ever, ever, ever want you to chip me up. If I shove, I am good with a call or a fold. I have never lost a hand in poker where everyone folds.
Wow. Gets away from it.
Disciplined, lay down. That some contemplation there may have been.
A little shove, buddy?
I think it's just one of those where he doesn't, he would not have lost the chip lead, but it's a little bit of a hit. You start to look at things where if you do call there and lose, you're at 150, and maybe Marco is sitting about 90.
Yeah.
Right now, I kind of like the fold there because you're keeping people at a 10 foot pole distance, not an arm's length distance from you. Everyone still has to worry.
And at this point, he can sit back and let them kind of take each other out.
Yeah.
Pick his spots. I get it.
I will say, I would like to see any hands folded to him. He's opening a pretty wide range.
He opens it all.
We are at that tricky time of APC where people have 2 bigs, 2 and 3 bigs. Good shove by Gene here.
Yeah.
3 bigs, any ace.
He's got an ace. You've got a fish.
That'll be our lesson for tonight.
Akram wakes up with an ace 8 suited.
No,
at this point, I think he has to call.
I don't think he folds this one.
Yeah, he's got to call this one.
Marco got kind of lucky to get his through. This is just the power and the power of suited. Easy fold for Marco, even though he might be getting a good amount of money. Now, even here, I would like to say from a strategy standpoint, Ace 8 is not a hand that I'm trapping with. I would have rather seen him just shove to isolate here. If the big blind had woken up with something, they wake up with something. But you want to take this hand with your Ace 8 with as few people as possible.
Or at least over the top at comfortable amount that covers it.
Right. That they know you're not going away. Same thing works out here, but these are just kind of like strategy talking points where when you're here, you want to get heads up as much as possible.
Sure.
A lot of the power of almost any hand you play in poker comes with being against one person.
Right. The goal is to isolate it, get people out.
9-5. Any hope for Gene here with 6 of hearts?
No.
6 of hearts? 8 of hearts is just the same as 6 of hearts. Now 6 on the river does this magic. No 6 on the river. No 6 on the river.
8 with an ace.
But
Gene is out.
Good showing by Gene.
Very respectable.
As with all of us here, it's nice to see ourselves on the final table and not here in the broadcaster booth. Yeah. Good pickup by Akram. Yeah.
Target eliminated.
We were looking at a commanding chip lead.
Akram is dominating right now. He has the entire table covered.
Now this is one I know I was just talking about aggression out of our big stack, but here's one where you probably can sit back and let the short stacks take themselves out.
Beat each other up.
Because they're at the point now where even if they take each other out,
he still has everybody covered.
Right. Because I would say
he's got over half or over double what the rest of the field's got.
I would lean on the less aggressive side. Easy shove from Marco here, but talking about Ekram again, if even if these three other short stacks combine all their chips together, you still probably have almost a
Less
two and a
than
half to 1,
Absolutely.
3 chip lead on everybody.
Right.
So you don't mind if they take each other out.
Combined, you have double the field.
I know Marco shoved. I don't know if something's going on here. Eric's got the all in.
Somebody shoved with him. So we're
Ace-
looking at
ace
ace
and
and
a deuce.
deuce and an ace nine.
This is a hand that just plays itself.
Eights.
Eights. Now this is when you're like chop outs. 4 on the turn.
Trip eights.
Trip eights. Still chop outs. What are we looking for?
Nope.
Nope. Ace 9 is going to
Nine
take
takes
it. It's always nice to still have hope when you are dominating
Right,
there.
exactly.
Sign out for me.
Nice play by Miss Celeste. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen her out at Firefly.
I played with her before Geno's,
That
and I think it's 10. She's an APCer. She can win on that.
Yeah, we had a good quick conversation when she came in. She's funny. She was asking me, so how's it work? And I think she was just amazed by the setup that it is. Like we tell everybody,
So different.
it is a normal APC game as far as chip ups go. Same $30. Tip your wait staff.
Exactly.
But I think everyone is kind of blown away with the setup here, and then they learn that this is your standard APC. We'll put the air quotes again, free poker.
With this kind of quality.
That kind of blown away. So she kept asking me. She's like, "Now is it?" It's like everything is exactly like APC. Good fold by Ekram. He may come out later and yell at us and tell us our accent was on the wrong syllable.
I don't know what I have yet.
Somebody's on it.
All right, I think
We didn't get cards
I
for
think
it.
Monet was all in
So
blind.
we're at Queen 3 and
Are you going out third?
yeah, I didn't get scanned.
There's Rachel egging on Monet.
All right, here we go. What do we got? King,
Ace,
All
King.
right.
And Jack in the window, Queen. Yeah, looking for a 10. Lots out still. Still any ace,
Way
king,
ahead
king,
right
any
now.
10?
Queen takes it.
Queen 3.
Wow.
I do like that play
Nice little
there.
Double up for Marco.
That's one of those where, especially if Monet was basically all in dark there. Good shove by Marco that you never, always tell people, certain situations you're never that far behind. In fact, Queen 3, you're ahead of any 2 random cards. It also, in one of those funny sense of, if Monet's going to get back in this game, you want him to do it by having to beat your hand. That
Right.
if you give him a walk, he can get back in the game without having to have actually fought.
Haven't done anything right.
All right, what do we got here as chip stacks go? What's that?
58 versus 236.
5 to 1?
Yeah, 5 to 1.
4.5 to 1 ish? 62-40, 4 to 1? Not insurmountable. It is not going to be an easy task though.
It's a climb. But we've seen people come back with lower stacks on the other.
I think one thing that'll be interesting here, if in some places where Ekram has been a little passive, I might not mind Marco opening here.
Taking a little bit of advantage.
it is-
so he can get some chips.
It is tough because you're only sitting on 50K. 4 bigs?
Yeah.
No, terrible math. 4 and 8. 6 bigs?
Well, 6 bigs. 6 times
Yeah.
8 is 48.
Yeah, looks like 6 bigs. Looks like Marco might have taken that one down, or just let it go. I don't know.
Let it go, I think. Because he was
Yeah.
at like 58. Now
Yeah.
he's at 50.
Just let it go. But that's some places where we'll talk strategy here on the broadcast. But at the same time, it's like trying to look at chip dynamics.
Yeah.
Those plays, being aggressive in Marco's spot, probably easier if they're both sitting on like 120K.
Right.
You can take advantage
So
of
you have a little bit to play with.
some of the passivity that Ekram has shown.
Great spot.
Shout out to Alan there up in our upper right hand corner. Puts in lots of. He does some work with Monet at RF Poker. Looks like he's running the TD tablet tonight.
So I think on an ace deuce. 8 deuce. Is he gonna call?
Yep.
He did call. All right, Marco, you got a king.
It looks like
See, I
we're
don't like
gonna see a flop.
I think you.
No. Now this is one
Now
where
is
I will
where-
say I think I was say I expect Marco to check there. Little rope a dope. Being that you have no kicker, even though it's going to look super strong, I do like that. I was going to say I like just a call there.
Yeah.
You're ahead of almost all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Ekram is the aggressor and takes it.
no.
So he
Marco-
actually got a little bit extra.
Marco's all in. So you get, you,
Oh, he
you-
did.
You,
You
check.
did go in and he got called.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yep.
figure out what Ekram thinks he can hit here.
Oh, I thought
Even though it's a huge amount of yeah. Sometimes, there's getting thinking you have a chance. There's, pot odds, and then there's you have 8 deuce.
yeah. Yeah, they do.
That
I don't know what
that's one of those. Actually, when Marco checked, don't mind the original bet with the 8 deuce because you're probably not ahead, so it's a good spot
See
to
if you can
bet.
drag it.
Now, once Marco calls, you
I
just
think
have to
you
shut
have
it.
to
You just have to shut it down, and then I know you're getting huge pot odds on Marco's 9K jam on the turn, but I don't know if there's any hands, no matter how big the pot odds that 8 deuce can
The
be.
8 deuce looks good, right?
That if you had some sort of draw, some sort of
Anything.
I would say
He
back.
had nothing.
I would say backdoor cards, but we were already
had
on the
nothing.
back. We were already on the backboards.
Right. There's like what? There was three overs at the turn out of 4. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if the last hand was off because once again it looks like Ekram's the button again. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I saw something wrong. I thought Marco was big man. Maybe I was just misseeing things.
all right, we're going to a flop. All right, so right now,
It's good.
Ekram's
Good,
ahead.
good check by Marco. And this is one of the places where, especially heads up, if it is checked to you, you can't be scared. 8's probably good here.
right, so he fires on it.
Protect what equity you
Absolutely.
have. Nice play there by Ekram. Nice play. That protect your probably you're ahead, so protect your equity. Good. We are in that stage now where it's like a double up by Marco does put him in the chip lead. So
I mean, he's within striking distance. He's
that's
done well grinding back.
that's all you can ask for if you come in at a
Sure. He's done well grinding back.
Jack 5. And I'm always back and forth. I know that personally I do take
I think-
to conservative
Yeah, I
side
get
of
out
things.
that There's no rush yet, right? He's got enough chips now. Jack 5's not your hand. You get out of that one. You pledging? I mean, you're right. So, Gene, we've been joined by Gene. He got knocked out earlier.
It's one of those things. I see a painted card. You can't be folded along these hands. To me, I mean, because that's how you chip down a little bit. So,
'Cause,
Where are we at?
if he breaks up with the hand, breaks up with the hand, you just hope you're not
Possibly.
I will say, and I know this can be a flaw in my game. Final table, or especially heads up, is that
I'm guilty of it too. I'm guilty
Oh,
of this too.
sure.
You
These-
people look at Jack 5 and like, so.
I mean, you saw me. I folded. I was over half committed 2 weeks ago and wound up folding it. I had a Jack 5.
but kind of going back to one thing we were talking about earlier was if you raise and win there, and you can add to your stack by,
Right. But
You can
that's
add-
the if. That's the thing.
but
It's a lot.
aggression always has the chance of adding chips.
Especially at a final table. Pops
So-
Jack in the river. I don't know where
Try.
our cards are. Here we go.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how we got here. Looks like
Ace.
good bet
two,
by Marco.
Nope. Yeah, ace. I think.
9 high and a pair.
versus ace high.
Didn't a famous poker player one time say 9 high like a boss? That's a good spot. Trying to take lessons away. That's a good spot where I think Marco knows there's absolutely no chance he's winning by checking. So stick your money in.
Yep.
Kind of playing off the tendencies of Ekram that if there were no bets there, 9-3's not winning in a check down. Put your money in.
Marco continues to grind.
Starting to now you can see the goal starting to reel him in. Ace 10,
It's not out of reach.
super
Still
premium.
a big mountain to climb, but I mean, he was within striking distance.
Marco's all in. Play this either way.
I agree with Marco.
Then-
I mean, I would at least
well,
maybe not all in,
yeah. Let's say
but
I mean,
40K.
this is
I'd probably pop at 40.
Yeah.
See what happens.
from a risk reward standpoint. Ace 10 is way ahead there. That's back to looking at
Yeah.
Ekram having the 8-7.
Yeah.
If you raise and get called, it's back to it is what it is. If you get
the
out
same
flop,
result if you bet 45K there versus the whole stuff, right? And you're not risking anything.
yeah. And then other times sometimes for me even taking moments in APC to not even worry about wins and losses. It's even taking the time to put yourself in situations that'll make you a better poker player other places. And if you min raise there and Ekram makes a call, now you're working on some post flop play, some reads, and not worrying about the win, but also while still playing a solid strategy.
Exactly.
Was he the button?
The ace 10?
Was he the button?
The ace 10 hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
See, that's what I'll do a little because you have to push.
Yeah. And that's as easy as it is to say sitting here not being result
Right, we're not up there.
not being result oriented. Yeah. Looks like Monad has added a new strobe feature to our final table. King
Yeah, folks,
5.
if you have a chance, you need to come out and play here.
Yep.
It's a different experience than regular
Ne-
APC. And personally, having their app, watching my tables when I'm playing final tables, has helped me become a better player. Ekram, he's got to be very happy with that King Jack.
Don't expect Marco to call here. Kind of ambitious. King 5's a hand that would be hard to play post flop.
I think he has to be aware.
There are some poker timelines
Nice laydown, Mark.
where you might be ahead, but it is a difficult hand to play post flop.
Yeah.
And that's back to kind of looking at tendencies that
Especially with Ekram's been playing.
a little on the passive side that
Yeah,
He's very subtle.
yeah.
we'll insert headphone joke here. Looks like we got Beats by Dre.
Yeah.
Beats by Eric.
Game is almost over in 2 minutes.
Well,
I think he's right though. I think he's right.
I would like to say shout out to APC tonight. We are first night of Gear Month.
Yes, we are. We had a blank. We don't know what Ekram's
We got a
Jack,
Queen Jack,
all right.
King. 2 standard hands. I think
This is probably a double push. This may be it.
two
Yeah. I
standard
mean, they're
hands.
both going to go in. They both got paint. And you can't fault either. You can't fault either play.
But
This is
Eric's
what
right
you
now
do.
says this is the best hand in poker.
Yeah, Queen Jack
Yeah,
is
that's
Eric's
what
favorite
Eric
hand. We'll see if we can give him a little
But I would
razz and
still rather
later.
have the king queen if you ask me.
If we give him a little
And
razz and
we
if it doesn't hold
blank-
up,
Yeah, we blank the flop.
Thank you.
you're like, where are my outs? Where are my outs? What are my outs?
Nothing.
9.
King.
Yeah.
Sigh of relief from Marco there.
Marco is now chip lead.
It is always nice
See how
to
quick? Look at that.
it is nice to win a hand heads up with just king high.
Marco is now in the lead, grinding up from one of the low stacks.
We're gonna give Rachel a little ribbon here in a second. We see why she TD's tournaments and isn't a opera singer. Whatever she was choosing to sing in the background there. And
That battle in the last chance.
You did good.
yeah, no,
We understood.
pick
Yeah,
your
we were like
spots.
with you on what you were doing.
You know, that the same thing. I've been, Rocky gave a shout out to the app. Sometimes I was going back and looking at some of my hand histories, and you're like, one of the nice things about the app is it's easy to ask the question, what could I have done differently?
Right.
And
What should I do?
but sometimes you look at it and there was nothing you could have done differently,
Right.
and you're
It's
just
just-
getting fourth place.
It's just the poker gods. It's the way it happens.
Not at all.
He double fucked
Oh,
here,
no.
and we can play a little leapfrog here.
I think Epcrum found the camera too. We were talking about Monet earlier that we keep getting the glances up at us like, can we read his soul?
Yeah.
I can't read your soul, but I can see your cards.
Yeah, I mean, Ekram has to go over 6'4".
Yeah. But that's a good
It's
raise.
good to see Marco be a little aggressive with this stuff. Now that he's got the chip lead,
Now I like that. That was a
We were 8 and,
Little bit of a
8
big
and
stack
16
going.
last
See,
hand.
that's what I wish you had done with Jack 5.
This is where I'll reiterate to the developers. Sometimes it might be nice on the screen to have the clock and the blind level show up next to our RF insights.
got some coding to
So
do.
it helps to know people who know people who know people.
Exactly.
Oh,
All right, my favorite hand once again.
We know, Robbie.
and this. I think Marco just has to gamble
Yeah,
here.
Ekram's already pushed.
I mean, what 1632?
Yeah.
There are almost no folds left in the tank.
No. I mean, you wake up with a pair, you're two-handed, you're gonna fire.
He's gonna like what he sees.
Except he's got his out.
But
Eric's gonna,
reverse domination. Now, once again, as we were talking about with the jacks earlier, even though there's only one left, I want to see an 8 high flop here.
Yes, he does.
I'm like, if I don't flop somebody drawing dead, I never feel good.
I totally agree.
In fact,
He's chipping up.
in fact, go ahead and put the 5th 8 out there for me.
Right, I want all the eights. Oh, he catches a jack in the window.
You're like, no.
Oh,
no, what do we
just
want?
rude.
7,
8,
7's a hopeful
9.
card.
No.
Jackson 10s.
Wow.
Great game by Marco. Great game by
Brutal.
Ekram.
Brutal.
That's what it is. I always say, even when I'm ahead, I never want to be sharing cards with people, especially as an undercard.
That's what I say. Then when I saw that 8 pop up, I was like, uh-oh. Good job, Marco.
Great comeback. Way to stay patient. Pick your spots.
Coming back from one of the low stacks to take the whole thing.
Alan, get out of the photo.
Good job.
Rachel giving instructions to Alan to get the hell out of her photo. Then if you guys hadn't seen any of the new on TikTok, the new AI tools for removing things from the background, lots of cool stuff.
Erase him out. Good
So-
job, sir.
All right,
Nice grind back, dude.
congratulations, Marco.
Ackerman
Thank
had
you.
like a massive stack with these two guys.
I know. That's
If you picked
crazy.
your spots, you did really well.
Trying to think back through the hands, what would you consider your kind of turning point at the final table?
Yeah. Honestly, right now it's all kind of a blur. Like when you say there was King Queen versus Queen Jack.
Yeah, that was a
That was a big one.
Yeah. With that, I didn't even really consider what he had. It was just kind of automatic for me.
Yeah.
Hand dash strong was just a little more automatic. I try to play a little bit more patient than I normally play final table, just because I've never played against this guy. And I didn't get to actually play a lot of hands with him, so just kind of wait and see what he likes to do.
Well, that was one thing we were talking about earlier, that there were a decent number of players that, at least from playing at Firefly, hadn't really seen them here. Celeste came out here for the first time. Ekram, I have not seen play before.
Will from Chattanooga.
Yeah, Will from Chattanooga. I don't know.
Yeah,
Marco played the table.
Chattanooga Poker
Oh, I
Club.
thought he was a good player. He did great.
But no, I thought you did a great job of, as players went out, you were keeping just enough chips and keeping the chip leaders within striking distance.
Yeah. There's one hand where I think technically I was supposed to call where I was kind of pricing those only 8K more, but I really thought I think you had told me about it actually one time. Kind of thinking that stack preservation versus like what you're supposed to do. So
Sure.
I decided to preserve those 8K chips and fold a hand that I knew was a losing hand, or at least I was behind pre-flop.
Yeah. So no, most definitely. Another, not specific to you, but specific to final table dynamics. We thought it was interesting that the two big stacks wanted each other. Ted and Ekram basically had the same amount of chip stacks, and everyone else is sitting at like 3 and 4 blinds. It's interesting sometimes where, always so it is free poker, but on that same note, trying to look at table dynamics and being like, it's interesting to watch the two big stacks take each other out and everybody else chips up.
Yeah, that happened to me. Must have been a week or two ago. I got second place, but the kind of same thing happened with me and Rocky. The big stacks went at each other, and the guy had like a 15-1 chip lead on me, and I just kind of went all in. But this time I was like, well, I got a little bit more chips to play with. I can play.
No, we were saying, not insurmountable. One time we were sitting, what did we say, like 4 to 1. Definitely one of those one double up and you're back in it. So great game, staying patient, picking your spots, being aggressive in some spots where one thing we had talked about was Ekram was a little passive in some places.
Yeah.
So
Especially with his initial lead out. He would limp in with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I was kind of picking up on that just a little bit, and that's why I felt like I could play a little bit more passively. Where some hands like King 5 or something, I'd rather usually raise in that position with the King High kicker, not kicker, but just the King High in general.
Yeah.
And with him not really knowing how to play and him being passive as well, it's like, well, I get more chances to see some flops and allow him, especially in the very early, allow him to try and bluff at it and pick up a quick double, especially like that first hand or two.
Because what's it? Was the King 5 the one where we were? He somehow was. I liked Ekram's bluff with like the 8. No, it was King Deuce versus 8 Deuce.
Yeah.
I actually like his first bluff. His first bluff with the 8 Deuce when you check.
Yeah.
But as soon as you called, we were trying to figure out
We were like,
when because you shove the turn and he still makes a call with 8 Deuce, where we were kind of joking around. It says there are pot odds and there are pots you probably have no chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you call
Yeah, at that point, I'm not really sure. Maybe was hoping I had some flush draw, straight draw, or something out there. Yeah. Or I was bluffing too with 7 high. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's
That was a weird
Be
point.
interested to go back and look at the board and be like, if you are bluffing, what are you bluffing that the 8 Deuce
I would like to
could
see
be?
what the ChatGPT would say about that. Like, they were like,
What hand did he have when I went all in on that river with like 9-3?
He was a. I'm trying to remember because
A6.
they,
Yeah,
A6
I
because
think you bluffed
we
him
were
on that
complimenting your play that kind of looking at the trends of what he'd done when he checked you on the river. I think you're a smart enough poker player that the only way you're winning
It's
a bet.
is to bet. And the fact that he hasn't bet, I don't,
That's how to do it.
I don't think you think you're ahead,
No.
but I also think you don't think he has anything either.
Right.
So that's a great push there.
absolutely.
Yeah, that was nice. That was well played there.
And
Usually when I try that, they call me anyway.
Yeah. But, and that's one of
Choose an hammer.
and that's one of those things when it's like trying to use all of the APC experience as a learning experience. That's a shout out to some people that take those chances. There's a lot of power in, especially if another person is being passive. If your hand has no showdown value, every once in a while, stick your chips in.
Yeah, agreed. If they have something or they make the hero call against you with their bottom pair, so be it. But at least you're putting them to a decision and making them sweat a little bit.
It's a measured move that makes sense and will pay off most of the time. So, yeah, good job.
All righty. Once again,
Great.
congratulations, sir.
Appreciate it, guys.
You did good, buddy.
Absolutely.
Well, we will wrap things up.
Yeah.
All right.